Okay, so if you're in our community, you can see this PDF. It says 5 steps to create tiny products that build community, and there are 5 major sections, and then each major section has 3 to 5 bullet points. But if you're listening to this on YouTube or in our podcast, which is available if you're on YouTube below, you may not have the PDF, but I'm going to walk you through the important points that are most important anyway to me in 2025. Number one, the first step on this map is pick an LMS. And what I recommend now, because it's a little different than what I originally have here on this PDF, which was published a few years ago, is any LMS will do, but something like Gumroad or Podia is my preference. That's no longer true. As I've recorded elsewhere, I'd recommend starting with something like PayHip now, because it allows you to accept PayPal and get paid via PayPal. And Podia charges a pretty high fee. Gumroad charges 10% of every sale you make. Podia's fee is actually a monthly fee that you're paying to use the software, which is significant if you want to accept or get paid via PayPal. It's like $89 a month, and they no longer have free email. You can't actually use your Podia account for free to build a big email list. Instead, you have to actually pay separately as a add-on to send email using their tools, which is not true when I first did this. All right, so don't overthink the LMS. They're all relatively similar, but if I had my preference right now, as much as I love Podia and as much as I think Gumroad has some unique strengths and Lemon Squeezy has some interesting little elements as well, like they have redirects immediately after someone purchases something, which is very useful. So you can actually send them directly to an external URL, which is ideal for, let's say, selling Canva templates, which I know some folks in our community are now doing. So you can just send them directly, redirect post-purchase to a Canva link, whereas you can't really do that with Podia. You can't really do that anymore with Gumroad, etc. But I'd still recommend starting with PayHip, as it's the most affordable relative to both the fees that they charge, which are 5% on the free plan. They accept and pay via PayPal, and it has the best suite of site building tools of all of these sort of analogs as well. Number two is create. So the first piece was pick an LMS. Number two is create. And I recommend using a content cornerstone, which is a silo of everything you know, but it's organized around each little topic. So for an example, meditation might be a topic, and then you'd have mindfulness meditation. Then you would have, let's say, transcendental meditation. Then you'd have all these different breath-related meditations, or, all the various types and stripes and flavors of meditations would be separate silos that you would then dive deeper into. And, kind of each would be their own tiny book or tiny product. All right. And this is why I recommend something that I call finite focus, which is actually like building constraints around what it is that you are, teaching or writing about or covering in a course or a book, etc. You want to have very, very, you want to keep very tight corners and limits on how much deviation you incorporate into your tiny product. So if you're writing about transcendental meditation, you might only make passing reference to mindfulness meditation and vice versa. You don't want to actually overwhelm your audience with everything it is that you know. All right, the next piece of this is, again, I'm reading this from the PDF. It says the universe is telling you the exact product or program or course or community you need to create to build your business. And I'm not talking about some sort of like, cosmological, woo-woo sort of idea with respect to the universe here, although certainly a lot of people in our community believe in that sort of thing as well. I'm telling you that you can use tools like Answer the Public or Reddit or any of these tools that are out there that will tell you, that will actually give you real questions that real people are asking about real challenges they have in an area that you have experience, expertise, or interest, right? And you could just take those questions as that universe and then incorporate those into your tiny book or your tiny product or your course. I'll give you a quick example. The other day, I was on Substack looking at one of the newsletters that I follow, one of the creators that I follow, and not that I even read this person's stuff all that much. He's actually somewhat of a celebrity in the world, not in the online world, but like a real, kind of well-known, pretty much famous person. And he in the community comments, he asked a question of the community in the chat, via the parlance of Substack, what questions they had about this podcast that he was recording and releasing in a few days. And here you have 500 people who are opining in the comments via Substack about questions they have about this very specific, topic that I'm creating myself around as well. So I have literal people who are in this other community that I belong to, who just by dint of happenstance and good fortune are actually telling me, they're telling him, but I'm reading this, so they're telling me as well where they're struggling. And it allows me and our little community to create content that is tailored and targeted to the exact audience that wants help in an area that I also have experience and expertise. So it's really, really a simple and ethical way. I mean, you're not stealing anything. It's a free, public chat, and people are asking questions that I have answers to. So why not offer them the help that they need and the tools they need to succeed in this field? Again, using my own authentic spin and approach. All right, you can use keyword tools, etc. I don't want to overdo this. There's lots of ways in which the quote unquote universe is telling you, which problems you really ought to focus on solving and why. All right, let's look at number 3 on this PDF. Affiliates, hugely important. You want to recruit partners, ambassadors, affiliates who will evangelize for your brand and your business. You can do this on PayHip as well. You can do this on Podia, on Gumroad. They all have an affiliate program, as does Lemon Squeezy. You can do this via WooCommerce. They have plugins that will allow you to incorporate affiliate marketing into your store, your shop, your products, etc. The key here is you want to be generous and overpay people to kind of come into your affiliate orbit. And the reason that you do that is because you want people to send you free traffic, right? If you go to an influencer who writes about, let's say, mindfulness again, and you've just written or created a course on mindfulness, and you say to this person, hey, this course costs $99, and here's a free copy of it so you can actually get a sense of whether you think this would be a good fit for your audience and your community. But if you choose to promote this to your email list, your newsletter subscribers, I will give you 70% of every sale that you make, right? So you're essentially telling somebody that out of a $100 product, you're going to pay them $70, and they can quickly do the math for themselves and see that that's a very attractive offer if they think as an affiliate, for them being an affiliate for you, if they actually believe that a significant percentage of their audience is going to be interested in your product, your program, your course, or your community. If you offered those people, that same person with that same big list, a 10% commission, so now he's making or she's making $10 for every $100 conversion. That's not so appealing all of a sudden, and it's kind of more of a meh sort of opportunity. And again, you have to remember, once somebody buys your course, recommended by affiliate number one, who you're paying 70% to, everything else that you sell to that specific person is no longer subject to paying a commission. So they're actually generating your customers, your clients, building your community by virtue of, for free, simply by offering a super generous affiliate commission that brings all these people into your community and gives you the opportunity to sell them stuff on the back end, as a coach or as, a upsell or whatever the, kind of bullshitty, sort of, parlance or jargon is, upsells or this or funnels. None of that. You don't need to understand any of those words. That's all sort of, kind of cringy marketing speak. But once somebody comes into your community who's interested in your work, your words, your work, your ideas, your products, your art, whatever it may be, a certain percentage of those folks are going to want to buy a second thing. And that second thing may be buying you, your time, your coaching, your consulting, etc. All right, number 4, because I want to get this cranked out in the next 3 or 4 minutes, is cohorts, right? Cohorts are really, really a great idea if you are, selling tiny products or creating products that make a big impact in somebody's life. Creating a community cohort is a small group of people who have the same end objective or goal, and it's like a supplemental piece of your tiny product. And your content, and again, this, I'm reading this directly now from this PDF. Your content introduces your ideas, but your community transforms those ideas into, big changes for your ideal audience. And I like to think of the cohort itself as 50% of the value of what you're offering via this tiny product, right? I mean, if you have community and people interacting and helping and supporting and entertaining one another and connecting with each other, that it has a discrete value that adds a tremendous amount of, extra oomph, or whatever the right word is, to, your product, right? Other people who are in community together, who are sharing an end idea or objective or aim, and together you are, incorporating, sort of this community mindset to turn a tiny product into an interactive experience. And essentially, what I suggest you do here is ask yourself, what can you borrow to build? What can you leverage to launch? Which tools, tech, software, services, are out there in the world that allow you to turn your tiny product into a cohort or course community? I recommend something like Circle. Circle is fantastic for building, like movements, causes, communities that take a tiny idea and turn them into really, super profitable style businesses. There are other tools as well, but if I had to pick one right now, to borrow a piece of software that may cost you $99 a month or $200 a month, predicated on how much, how many features you need, I'd recommend something like Circle. And then the last piece of this is scale, right? Just tiny products over and over again. Start small, think series or scale. Same thing with books, same thing with courses, same thing with products. You can just continue to iterate, optimize, improve, tweak, critique, build, and just keep making, tiny products that make a big impact in your ideal audience or quintessential client or community's lives, right? What's the big idea? What goes where and why? What goes when and why it matters to you, and why it ought to matter to the rest of us. And that's the strategy, structure, sequence, and story piece of this, which is, you want to have a big idea, which is the strategy. You want to have a structure, which is where everything goes in this sort of, kind of map, or, what it looks like on paper, what goes when and why, which is sequence, like which dominoes need to fall in which order, in order for all of this to go right for you. And then finally, story, which is something that many people neglect to consider, but is ultimately the most persuasive piece of your pitch, which is why it matters to you and why it ought to matter to me and the rest of us. That's how you actually create a engaging, idea in the minds of your ideal audience, where they actually want to participate in this whole, kind of process, so they learn the thing that you ultimately care so much about, and ostensibly they will care so much about as well once they immerse themselves in your experience, your expertise, and your cause or community. Okie doke. That's pretty much what we're focused on this year. I'm writing a ton of tiny books, a lot of tiny products. You can check out a lot of these below if you're interested. And if you have any questions, as always, if you're in our community, feel free to ask. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I'm happy to advise, if I can. Teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening. And as always, have a wonderful day.